And we're live. Sorry I'm late, guys. Some technical difficulties with the computer. I had to restart it a couple of times to get the camera to work. Nobody in here. Oh, we got three people. One. So we had a completely lazy, rainy weekend. I'm more like rainy day out here. It was almost like a day off. I really didn't do anything today. It's weird. Staying Lincoln. What's happening? Mike Smith, Mitt Made Muscle, George Bonnie, all the regulars rolling in. Rocky Myers, Uncle Squirrel, what's happening, brother man? D Scaglione, Spaghetti Sunday. I had Greek. I had what did I have today? I had chicken shawarma, right? Yeah, chicken shawarma, good stuff. Um, Marco Ciccarelli, Dan's Garage, Harley Hawk, what's happening? Jesse Zankowski, hello, how are you? Tom Muse, what's happening? Fubar, it is Fubar. Fubar is here. We're all safe now. Well, everybody's safe except the trolls, you know. Um, who are all welcome. I mean, come, trolls. Ari, what's happening? And Zero, wow, everybody's in here all at once here. Bruce in New Zealand, Chris Greenaway, Joe K. You know, I'm really glad to see you guys, right? It's like Mr. Will, nice. Um, Bruce W. Plan Z update. Rain is the Plan Z update at Port here all weekend. We'll try again next Saturday. Nope, Doug Narden is here. There is no fear. There is no fear. So what's new with you guys? What's new? John Wilburn is live chatting now. Yeah, John does a live on his channel before ours, and then like he when he wraps up there and he transitions over here. Los Cadaver, what's happening? Um, James Ola, this is the first one I get to watch live all the way through. Man, I hope you're not disappointed. You know, Ruff Thomas, Hardy, Tom Muse. Let's see. Hey Tony, I made a longer video specifically for you today about the previous question you asked on dyno and its reference to acceleration. I will take a look at that. What Tom is referencing is a debate that I had going back with somebody who I don't even want to talk about right now. But anyway, it was a debate that went back and forth about the way different dynos will measure power, and whether a dyno measures at a steady state where the dyno leads the engine to the next RPM level, or where the engine leads the dyno where it wants to go. And you would get two different results based on the type of modification that you're testing on a device like that. So evidently, Tom Muse has made a long video explaining. Tom is like a resident, like Tesla, you know, Einstein, Tesla. Who's the other guy? Who's the German guy? Von Braun, right? Yeah. Tom is like our Von Braun. So you might want to check that out on Tom Muse channel. He's got a lot of good stuff there. Ari says he got a nice set of half-inch drive deep sockets at the swap meet today. Old Craftsman's the only. Oh, nice. $15, man. The old Craftsman stuff is like gold. Let's see, Harley Hawk dyno is useful, but it's a different test when the cars are the G-force. Both are good to use. Well, that's the thing. See, there are dynos that test the load, right? In other words, like not just the output, but like the way the motor moves the load. So, you know, and those would be far more accurate for like the kind of stuff that we do. Bruce W, did you guys ever get Sid Chrome tools here? I've never heard of the brand. Eureka 7 Wave. Local Tony, today I got my car running. I had a small issue where the idle RPM was erratic between 6 and 800 RPM. I have a small fuel leak from the fuel line is causing a small vacuum leak. Is that called? No. Hunter Klein, is a purple shaft 340 cam a good cam for a stock 318? Well, forget about the purple. The purple thing is just that was the foundry that Chrysler used to make all of their performance camshafts used to put a purple dye on the cam. So there is no such thing as really a purple shaft cam. It's just that was, and it just stuck. So there's nothing special about a quote purple cam. But if you're asking if a 340 cam, a 340 cam and a 360 cam, unless you're talking about the 68 344 speed cam, the 340 cam and the 360 cam are the same, and they will work very well on a 318. You know, so if you're putting together just like a driver engine, you know, I mean, some, you know, just, you know, not a crazy hot rod deal or anything like that. Yeah, the 340 360 cam works perfectly in a 318. D. Scaglione, Tony, are the junkyard jets cracked heads still going to use? Yes, of course. There's nothing wrong with those heads. As I pointed out in that live, right? There are thousands of those things out in service every single day. You pass them every single day on a highway and everything, and they have cracked heads, and they run just fine. It's not a problem. It only becomes a problem when somebody takes it apart and says, "Oh my God, there's a crack here." But in the meantime, that head's been probably cracked for 150,000 miles, and it's never given a problem. So yes, you're going to run it just like that. Bruce W. Tony, is there really any difference between 1960s cams and what they now call? Yeah, there is. 1960s cams were designed more or less by feel than anything else. There's been a lot of science that's evolved between the 1960s and today, and yeah, there is a difference. You've got a higher level of sophistication with today's cams. Let's see. Any more collaboration with Steve Magnanti? Yeah, he's doing one of those. He's doing one of those Barrett Jackson auctions this weekend, and I told him I'd give him a shout after the weekend. We'll touch base with each other sometime tomorrow or whatever, and I'll try to get him on this week. We'll try to do another live like later on this week. I love talking to him. He's great. Uni Motorsport. Hey Andy, what's happening, brother man? When I get mixed up horse dyno on the engine dyno, I'm going to drop it in Casper for rear wheel horsepower numbers, and you'll be shocked about power loss. Okay. Brendan Heitschmidt, howdy from Oklahoma City. What's happening, man? John Wilburn has finally touched down. What's happening? I would have popped into your live tonight, John, but I've been running around and I had a hard time getting this thing started. Tom Music saying, I just found another channel that covered the J915 head. I have 3 sets here and none are the same. Ever run into that? Yeah. The consistency, there was no consistency with those things. Once you got into the early 70s, if you look at X heads, right? The X heads are all very similar. They're all very nice castings. You start getting into the J's and then like the O's, the N's, the H's, there were a lot, and the I's. There were a lot of different letter designations. J was just one of them. Yeah, it's hit and miss. It's all, the castings are all over the place. Coffee, need coffee. Okay. Colleen Tabo, finally a Sunday off to hang out for the whole show. Michael Morrow, first Hemi car you saw in the wild, I'm assuming you were a kid. Oh God, first Hemi car I saw in the wild. 1972 or 3. I was with my parents on vacation, someplace in Pennsylvania. I think like maybe it was the Poconos, or I don't remember. But in the motel parking lot, there was a 70 Challenger that had 426 Hemi emblems on it. So it was the first one I think I ever saw in the wild. Steve Pastor, you're bracing for the rains. It's been raining here like crazy all weekend. Hey Tony, have you had any experience with the Autolite 4300 carb? That's similar to the Summit one, the one that Summit sells now, correct? The Holly-eyed Summit version. If so, yes, and we got some pretty amazing. what I consider to be some pretty impressive results out of running one. We picked up 0.3 of a second going from a 600 Holly to that 600 Summit, which is the same carburetor you've got there. Um, Anthony Perner. Hey Tony, is there any reason other than cost I wouldn't want to paint my engine with Glyptol? No, use Glyptol. That's the right thing to use. I use the Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer because years ago I wanted to paint the inside of an engine. I couldn't find Glyptol, and so I just used that Rusty Metal Primer, and it worked well. And so I've been using it ever since. But I mean, Glyptol is the correct thing to use for that. Mike Smith, a little bribe to get my dual point video moved up the list. Why do you want a dual point video so badly, Mike? There's very little interest in something like that, aside from like maybe you. Would it be okay if I just set up a dual point distributor and sent it to you? Michael Morrow, did you know that you are quoted in the serial number G&S books by Martin Shore you got when you bought a I didn't buy oh yeah, oh that you got, yes, I know. Yeah, I mean if you go to if you look in the glove compartment of any GNX, that was that special Buick Grand National, there's a book in the glove compartment and that came with the car, especially for those cars. And yeah, I'm quoted from my article, my story in Cars Illustrated magazine. I'm quoted in that book. My claim to fame, you know. Anthony Perrin, is it really hard to get prepped for Glyptol? No. Same preparation you do for any race type engine. Let's see. Mike, because I was born in the 80s and switching my Roadrunner to a dual stock axle dual point distributor. Well, just drop it in. There's nothing to set up. Just drop the damn thing there. Work great. And if you've got it's a new old stock axle distributor, it means you got the good old points and you got the good condenser. Assuming when you say new old stock, it's like from the 70s or the 80s. Yeah, I've got a bunch of them on the shelf. They're fantastic distributors. Olive, what's happening, Olive? John S., how often should you oil the distributor with a port on the side? I mean, you're supposed to do it when you do a tune-up. You're supposed to put a couple of drops of light oil in there, like 3-in-1 oil they talk about. Wayne Walleye, a tip on tuning dual eddy 600s. So you're putting 2 out-of-box 600s on a single intake manifold, jet them lean, jet it lean. Okay, now I'm ready. Let's see. Michael Morrow, do K heads flow better than street Hemi heads? Or do street Hemi heads just allow a power steering pump? No, same exact castings, intake, exhaust, and the combustion chambers. They're same exact castings. The only difference is at the ends. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's also a ledge of on the bottom handrail, the bottom valve cover rail. There's a little bit of a kick out, but the main difference is at the end where it's scalloped on an X head and it's straight across on a K head. That's it. It's just the only difference really is valve cover mounting. Any Fox-bodied stuff coming down the tube? Possibly. I mean, somebody's got to bring me a Fox body, and I need to have somebody around me with a Fox body, and we could do Fox body stuff. I would love for somebody to fold out with a Fairmont on a 351. I think we could have a blast with that. Venice 17, why would a new rebuilt 360 LA block 727 not burn the tires off? It's a dog, just seems like no power. Well, your tune-up is off somewhere. I mean, assuming that the engine is healthy, Assuming it's got compression and the cam is good and correct, and you got a matching intake and exhaust, then it's just your tune-up is bad. And usually it would be in timing. Usually in timing. I love you haven't seen a fox body in the wild in a long time. I know, right? That's the truth. I was pumping gas the other day, and an older guy, older than me, hard to imagine, but yeah, older than me, pulled up next to me, and he had a black four-cylinder notch, and it looked version. It was like 86, 87, 88 maybe. I don't know. It was one of the earlier years, and yeah, it was pristine. Vince W. Drunkle Tony. Oh yeah. Mopar Man 1978. Tony, you would know this. I might have been misinformed. You can use a stock small block transmission converter in a big block transmission for a little more stall. Okay. You can't put a 727 converter on a 904 or vice versa. So big block, you would only have a 727 to deal with, and they have all different stall speeds. So you could have a small block and a big block originated converter that have the same stall speed. So you can't really go by that. Big block, small block, stall speed. They're all different applications, all different years, all different engine combinations had all different converters, or all slightly different characteristics. So you can't really go by like a blanket statement like that. But you can't take a 904 converter and put in a 727 or vice versa. It has to be within the transmission family that it came from. Drifting Max, Uncle Tony, have you ever tried drifting? Intentionally? No. never intentionally. But I've drifted many times. Oh, I just got a text saying I need the mic. Thank you, Kathy. Hang on. Let me plug in the mic. She's at mission control at the house. I'm here at the shop. Let's plug this thing in. Okay, there's Hemi. Okay. Now I'll put this on my neck. Hey, you know what? Hang on. I gotta go kick up the air conditioner. It's literally it's hotter in here than it is outside. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, that should be better. All right, where were we? Let's see. Junk Car Willie, where has Crystal been? Crystal's been working her tail off. Crystal handles our merch. She's here doing the merch and all of that. But she's busy with the kids. She's got the 2 little ones and the real estate business. So she's occupied. When she frees up, you'll start seeing her back on the channel again. When she was making regular appearances on the channel, it was before she started doing real estate. So between the combination of taking care of the kids and the real estate thing, Crystal Sells Tennessee, by the way. She has a YouTube channel called Crystal Sells Tennessee. So when she gets a little more time, she'll start making more appearances on the channel. But generally, it's rushed. Like, we pass each other. I'll be in the shop. She'll be here in the merch area, and we'll just pass each other. You know what I mean? Hey, how are you? Good. Okay, bye. See you. So that's the way it's been for the last little while. But once she gets freed up a little bit more, you'll definitely be seeing more of her on the channel. Let's see. Mr. Was Crystal your daughter or daughter-in-law? She's my daughter-in-law, but I think of her as my daughter. I don't think of her as my daughter-in-law. Hey, wait, do I still wait? Let me put this mic around my neck. All right, email. Thank you, sir. Any more bottle rocket or Plan Z before winter? Yeah, well, Plan Z would have gone to the track yesterday, but it's been raining here. It's crazy rain for the couple of days. But yeah, Plan Z is just sitting there waiting to get put on the trailer and go to the track. So that's not a problem. As soon as we run that next weekend, I go right back to Bottle Rocket. But I can only do one of these cars at a time. And as far as Bottle Rocket goes, the only thing I've got the push rods I believe that I need because I haven't been able to take it apart to look, and I've got the adjustable rockers that I know that I need. So that'll be the next thing with that car is to convert the hydraulic rollers into solid rollers and change over to those rocker arms. So that'll we'll be able to shoot that in a day or two, and then immediately after that we're gonna take it out to the track. Test the speed shop. Tell me what's going on with Bottle Rocket. I just said what was going on with Bottle Rocket. No, the manufacturer never reached out to me. No. And then on top of that, I need a set of push rods for Plan Z. And the freaking manufacturer never reached out to me either. Actually, two manufacturers. You know, let me tell you something. The aftermarket, the people in the aftermarket must be doing really, really good because they don't have the time to get back to you to make a simple purchase, something like push rods. Because the ones that I've got in there now are I broke one, and they're a mixed match set of push rods. So I need a set of push rods. I cobbled up another push rod. I stuck it in there. It should be good to make a pass or two. But I need to push rods. Legitimately need a set of push rods for the car. And I contacted one cam manufacturer. They never got back to me about it. And I don't want to buy this stuff. I'm not like, oh, send me free push rods or anything. No, I want to buy your freaking push rods. And then I contacted a company that only does push rods. All they do is freaking push rods. And I says, hey, I need a set of 200 or 250 short slate 6 push rods, right? Should be a pretty simple thing to do. And he's like, okay, I'll get right back to you on that, right? I waited all day. He never got back to me. These people must be making a fortune because they don't need to take the money from anybody. And it's not like I called them up and said, oh, this is Tony from Uncle Tony's Garage. I was like, no, I'm just a random person needing a set of freaking push rods. Never got back to me. Wayne Wally, trick flow heads are unavailable. Yeah, I'm hearing lots of stuff is unavailable. Cool Trend for put. I don't know who Trend is, James. Who's Trend? Did I try Smith Brothers push rods out of Oregon? Yeah, it's exactly who I tried. Try Mancini for push rods. They don't have any on the shelf. I have to get a kit. I got to get a push rod kit. That's what's going to happen. I just wanted to save myself some trouble of having to cut because when you cut those things, you have to be really accurate on the ends. Whereas if the register or the cup doesn't sit exactly perfect, they stress and break. So that's why I wanted to just get a set that was done because I don't have a way to precision cut the ends of the push rods. But I do what I got to do. Ari, you ever set of stock push rods? I got stock push rods up the wazoo. I got coffee cans full of them. They don't do me any good. Because I took 210 off the head. I took 200 off the block. So that's the push rods are now 210 thousandths of an inch longer than they should be. Make your own with Fluxy. Yeah, I'll just keep pulling up slag until they take the form of a push rod. I'll stick it in there. Anderson Buchanan, what do you predict is the next thing to break on Bottle Rocket? You know, Anderson, we've been through the mill with that. I don't think there's too many more things that we're going to break. I don't know. I'm certain it'll break something because that's what the car does, right? But I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. And if I could predict it, I'd be in there right now working on it. So I don't know. Okay, Trend Performance. They're out of Michigan. They make performance valve frame. Okay, I'll give them a shot tomorrow. Trend. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down because my memory is terrible. Trend Performance. push rods. Thanks for the tip. We'll see what happens. Okay. Old Jetfire, what's happening, man? How are you? More junk parts. Grr. 2 HVAC mode actuators bad on a row. New defective. Everybody, bro. It's everybody. Kenny wouldn't. It'll break a rod. I don't know why it would break a rod. The rods, it's got the same. It's got the 340, 360 rods. The later 318s have the 340, 360 rods. I don't see why. I mean, it could break a rod, but it's not a likely thing to break. William, U joints for weak link on bottle rocket. I got good U joints in there. What's supposed to be good U joints? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Greg McDonald, bottle rocket will shield the distributor shaft end going into the oil pump. That's a possibility, but you know, I'd still get a run out of it. Because you could run them with no oil pressure. You know, you can only run them once with no oil pressure, but you can run them with no oil pressure, and they run great. Dallas is in there. A new thing to break on bottle rocket records. We got a long way to go before we can do that. Sean Fagan, it's going to be like Mad Max soon, fighting for good parts instead of gas. Yeah. I listen. It's looking more and more like it. It's looking more and more like it. French Onion, I think Bottle Rocket will set a world record. I don't think there's an official world record for 318 Coronet, 1972 Coronet sedans. But I mean, as far as I know, it's the fastest one. It's got the record now. If that's the class, I mean, junkyard 318 4-door car, sedans. Yeah, it's already got it. I don't know. Will your solid lifter rockers be aftermarket or factory? They're aftermarket. Go to improvements. Tony, how did you get lost in the system at Rikers Island and end up working in the kitchen? I had a fight I was in Coney Island, central booking in Coney Island, and I had a fight with another guy that was in the cellar me and the guard over a orange. I wasn't going to let this guy get my freaking orange, so they can be. I was a little bit of an asshole when I was younger, So we had this fight over this orange, and they conveniently lost me in the system for a couple of days. Anderson Buchanan, when will we finally get a full night at the track with Bottle Rocket? I don't know when I get a full night at the track with Bottle Rocket. That explains all the time. There were like 6 or 7 guys in the cell, right? And they had one less orange than there were guys in the cell, right? So, I waited for them all to like finish their frenzy, and when I got there was one orange and me and this other guy, and I wasn't going to let the other guy have the orange. It was that simple. Jonathan Briggs, I believe it. I got in a fight over a cookie in the can. Yeah, okay. When you're in the can, you'll fight over anything, right? Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You'll just fight over it. PJ Doe, I just realized we live in the same town. Please don't stalk me. I have so many freaking people that are stalking me now. Please don't stalk me. Jonathan Briggs, you hit the guy with my lunch tray. Yeah, I shoved the guard through the bars, and that's why they because the guard was favoring the other guy, and I shoved him like that through the bar, through the bars, and he didn't like that. So like I said, that's when they conveniently lost me in the system. Mr. Will, Rikers is so bad that the guards call out sick at record rates. PJ, though, you want to get some, Tony, you want to get some merch. Uncle Kathy, I have nothing to do with the merch. Uncle Kathy, Uncle Crystal take care of merch. And it's Uncle Tony's Garage at gmail.com. No. Did I say that? No, that's all right. What's my address for the merch? What's my address for the merch? I think I had a brain tumor. I don't remember. It's Uncle Tony's Garage. The email address is uncletonysgarage at gmail.com. Yeah, uncletonysgarage.com. That's it. uncletonysgarage.com. Why did I say Gmail? Twin turbo olds, roller versus flat top at cams. Thoughts? Roller. In today's world, roller. Just go roller. If it's at all possible, if you're gonna just go roller. Michael Morrow, every once in a while on eBay, I see factory red stripe transmission that is a real factory piece, where it's some savvy transmission got hog out rid of tooth on a synchro. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And there, as far as I know, I don't know of any slick shifted factory transmissions. Even the super stock, the 68 super stock cars did not have slick shifted transmissions, as delivered. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything more than that about them. Joseph Giannini, good luck getting good lifters anywhere, twin turbo. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the truth. Solid rollers are the way to go, if you can. Drifting Max, do you remember the fight with your ex-landlord you showed a clip of in one of your videos? Yeah, I've had, I may have had a fight or two in my life. You know what I mean? But I'm so mellow now. I really am. Seriously, I'm like a pushover. Joseph Giannini, Tony, you should set up your own parts with the guys you know you would make a killing. I'm not. It doesn't interest me. The parts business doesn't interest me. I like YouTube, and I want to produce other channels. That's what I want. I don't really care. I don't really care what I don't really care what money can be made in the aftermarket business or the parts business or anything like that. I want to cultivate other YouTube channels. That's the business. That's the business I'm in, and it's a business I plan on staying in. Kevin Pine, has anyone you know of built a slant 6T bucket? Yeah, Google it, man. I don't know anybody who's done it, but I know it's been done. There's a couple of them out there. Google it. There's videos of them and stuff like that. The Kreibel Kuhn tune, solid roll lift. I hear what's happening, man. Solid roll lifters are in the motor for Lucille. I need to get back to work. Time to accept the lash. Go, 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 man. Joseph Giannini, Tony should set up his own parts foundry. No, I have less than no interest in literally less than no interest in setting up any sort of parts foundry or being in any sort of parts business. I'm serious about this. I would much rather be in the bagel business. I'd love to have like a bagel place or something like that. I really don't want to make parts. PJ Doe, you live in Murfreesboro. Please don't stalk me. Please. I go outside, right? I go outside and I live on a cul-de-sac and there's people making a slow loop and staring at my freaking house. I'm in here working, I'm turning wrenches, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I look up and there'll be somebody standing there. You're Uncle Tony. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm over it. I'm really over it. I'm really over it. Oh yeah, it's pronounced Kriebel. Sorry about that, man. Bagel, you would have to move back to New York. Sean Fagan, Bagel, you would have to move back to New York, New Jersey. No, man, there's demand for bagels here. where do you think all of the regular people are running to? Everybody who's leaving New York and New Jersey, this is where they're coming, and they need bagels. Matzo ball. Always thought a healthy 318 and the next year would be fun. I tell you the truth, I thought about that too because I got this white one out there, and I was like, yeah, I'll throw a small block in it, right? That would be really cool. And then I realized, no, you get your 94, 95 Grand Cherokees. They came with 318s and 360s, and there really isn't the early Grand Cherokees. There really isn't that much of a difference between between the Grand Cherokee and the regular Cherokee. So it really wouldn't be that interesting. Um, what was this? Tony, I think you shout how brief shaming worked. My buddy actually got the water pump on his truck. Man, as Tony, you'll have to be careful with stalkers like what happened at the storage shop. Please. There's a lot of crazy people in this world. Bagels and burritos? No. I would want to do it like a true I mean, there's plenty of places to get burritos right here, really good burritos. No, I would want bagels and bagel sandwiches and stuff like that. And bagels and lox, which I don't eat lox, but people love it, so I'd like to have that. You know what I mean? Yeah. French onions, that comes with fame. You need security. It's weird, brother, man. French onion, it's weird. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You have to see it from okay, like so. You guys are on that side of the screen, so you have your perception of what goes on here, right? But from this side of the screen, I'm not doing anything except like my job. You know what I mean? So it's like okay, so I know it doesn't sound right. You're like because you can't really relate because you're not on this side of the screen. But to me, what I do is like no different than let's say if I did aluminum siding. Well, I do aluminum siding. That's my job, right? Or I make pizza, right? That's my job. I make pizza. Or I deliver furniture. That's my job. I deliver furniture. I make YouTube videos. It's my job. I make YouTube videos. So to me this is my job. This is just what I do. And you don't expect when you work your job, you don't expect to interface with the public in that way. Does that make any sense? Tony goes live. That's his job. Yes, this is my job. This is how I make a living. You know, however you make a living, this is how I make a living. And I've made my living in many different ways. And before I die, I'll make my living in even different ways. But this is my job. This is just what I do. Gerard Leclerc, I saw a video of you and your sister, I believe, when you were going to see a red duster. Did she ever get one? No, actually, that's my neighbor, Paige, and she ended up buying a '68 Nova, really nice car. Um, Michael Benolio, I just bought a 283 Chevy. The seller turned the short block over to show me the bottom end and four lifters fell out. I don't know what holes they came out. Do I have to break in the cam again? Ooh, listen, if it's already been broken in, oh God. I mean, listen, you could take a chance. You know, you could play lifter roulette. You could take a chance on that. But oh God, I would buy another set of lifters. I would get another set of lifters. You don't have to change you don't have to buy a whole set of lifters. Just change those four lifters. Find four good NOS lifters, old school lifters, okay? And just change those four lifters. Lube them up good. And you do have to put the engine through the break-in cycle again because those lifters are gonna have to be broken in just like right. But yeah, don't take a chance on it. Really, you will hate yourself so much if you eat one of those lifters. Uh, Doug Dunn, Page's Brown Nova is pretty. It is. It's a really nice car. Charles Alert 2. Uncle Tony, I can't find 2 videos you made. Which 2 videos? I don't know if you checked. I have like 530 or 540 videos up right now. Doug Dunn, you think Page is pretty spiffy too? Lots of people do. John Carl Willie, I have to ask, are you related to Ronald DeFeo, mass murder from Albany? That was from Albany, New York. It's from Long Island, and yes. Curtis Randolph, the more popular your channel becomes, the more the public will try to visit you. At 1 million, you will have to get a fully gated compound, same as any other celebrity. But I'm not a celebrity. See, that's the thing. Maybe in certain people's minds I am, but in my mind I'm not, and I never intended to be, and I don't want to be. And if I get pigeonholed into that position where I've got to have isolation from, you know what I mean, then I just stop doing this. I'll go do something else. Um, Charles Alert, where you drilled holes in the ignition key and the oil leak message about Epstein. Um, they should both be up there, man. Well, the Epstein one was an Epstein. No, both of those videos are still up, but I don't remember the names of them. Travis Nostalgia. Hey, Uncle Tony, how do those direct drives work on the top fuel cars? Was it neutral or reverse? No, the top fuel car has a centrifugal clutch, and there's a neutral position on the. So a fuel car, there's no neutral in the transmission. The transmission is a planetary transmission, and it's always in gear. Okay, and on the clutch on the clutch can of the top fuel car with centrifugal clutch, you'll see that there's a pedal. Okay, and the pedal doesn't work the same way it does in a regular clutch. Like in a regular clutch, you step on the pedal to disengage the clutch, right? You push the fingers in, right, and it releases the clutch. Well, on a nitro car or a fuel car, that pedal is there to just relieve the tension on the fingers, just to back the tension of the fingers off, because the engine's idling at like 2,000 RPM, and the fingers are putting weight against the clutch, and you have what you call stall speed. So and they feel exactly like an automatic transmission. Like if you drive a fuel car, it starts up. If you let go of the brake, you ease off the brake, it moves out. Just exactly feel like an automatic transmission with a torque converter. And then the clutch pedal there is just to put the weight against, or just to take the weight off the clutch, and that's how you're able to get in and out of reverse, right? But the 2-speed transmission is planetary. There's no reverse position. There's no neutral position. And the reverser, the way you get in and out of the reverse is just to take the weight off the clutch, or off the fingers, just lightly. You'll find a sweet spot, right? So what you'll do is you'll start pulling on the reverser lever, and as you're tugging on the reverser level lightly, you're pushing on the clutch pedal and kind of like moving your foot a little bit, and you'll find a sweet spot, and it'll just pop into reverse. And then you do the same thing, or actually reverse is forward. So yeah, that's wow. Boy, that was a long explanation about that. Michael Moore, did you ever order from PAW Performance Home? Yeah, everybody did back in the day. That was before Summit and Jegs. There was PAW. Charles, did I answer that? Did I answer that sufficiently? I don't know if it was clear. A lot of times I don't see. I'll explain something, and I'm not sure if my explanation is clear because my memory just bounces around. But yeah, there's fuel car trivia. The reverser handle, to put in reverse on a fuel car, you always push the lever forward to go into reverse. And the reason for that is because when the car leaves and so much vibration and G-force that the weight of the handle could try to pull it back out of or not completely disengage the forward gear, and that would damage the reverser. So when you put a fuel car in reverse, you're pushing the reverser handle forward, and then when you go to put it in forward gear, you're pulling it back. Anthony Perna, thank you. First, thanks for answering all my questions. You're quite welcome, my brother. I have a 94 Ford 300, 8.2 lifters. I'm still driving it, but now I have to tow my car with it. Can I just drop 2 lifters in Timberlake to get it running on 06? Probably not. I almost guarantee if you're running around with 2 Eaton lifters, you've got 2 bad lobes. I think you're just wasting your time. Zach out 70. Wish I could be part of your junkyard jet crew. They're doing it. They were here. I wasn't here today, but they were here working on the stuff all day today, cleaning stuff. Four tracks. 490. Thank you, sir. Hey Tony, I want some advice. How do you overcome multiple project vehicle curse? How do you overcome multiple project vehicle curse and the problems that arise when you just can't make headways and mistakes? I'm always making mistakes and I'm always having problems, and that's all part of doing what we do, man. It's never easy. It's never simple. It's never straightforward. There's always problems, and you have to expect that you're going to have the problems. Um, what I generally do is when I get a car or a project that is just like it's frustrating me, or it just seems like it's bent on self-destruction, I put it on the side. I'll put it on the side. I'm like, you know what? I have to clear my head. I have to do other things to get my mojo back up, and then I'll go back and attack this thing again. And see, that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like they'll be like, okay, oh, he never finishes anything. He never, well, you have to understand something. Everybody works differently, and the way I work is that if I have a problem with something, right, and it's possible. See, it's not always possible to do that, but in my world, it is possible. When I'm frustrated with something, or I need to figure something out, or I need some time for clarity, right, I'll put it on the side, whatever it happens to be, and it'll sit there until I'm ready to go and tackle the next. Because you find yourself in the fog of confusion, you know what I mean, or the fog of frustration, where it's like, okay, I tried this and it didn't work. I tried that and it didn't work. Okay, let me go back and try this. And next thing you know, you've done like 6 different things and you don't even know where you are with it anymore. You start to get like a fog about it. And it's like, at that point, you say, you know what? Nope, nope, nope. You go off on the side and you sit there for however long it takes for me to get the ambition to go back and work on you again. And that's how you overcome it for the most part. You have to own your stuff. You can't let your stuff own you. You can't let your projects own you. And okay, Staggerproof, thank you, sir. An 81-year-old guy told me he raced the GTX in stock class at Bristol in the 60s and had the field covered by a half second because he flipped the pistons. Half second is a lot, but I mean, said he had never heard of you or the argument. But he's an 81-year-old guy. And he ran a stocker, and yeah, I'm almost certain that he would have had his pistons reversed. That was a standard operating procedure back then. I didn't make this stuff up. Throttle watch. Any sponsors coming on board? You need a lift? No, I don't need a lift. I don't want a lift. I've had things offered to me like I don't want a lift. And I don't really want a sponsor. I like what we do with this. I like the relationship I have with my community here, and I like the way my business runs, and I know how I want to grow it, and taking on sponsors and complications is not part of it. I don't want to do that. Ari, you're getting your slant six back from the machinist this week. I had to take it back. So I'm going to be able to start flogging on the Dodge. I'm sure I'll have to bother you at some point. You got my number, brother, man. You got my number. John Blossoms, Tony, any design features of the Magnum engine you prefer over the LA engine? Just the fact that you can get quench out of it, the closed chamber heads. Um, that's really the only. Okay, so if I had to flip a coin, okay, so let's say I had a choice between, and okay, they have good ports. They have good ports, but no better than you know a standard like a regular 360 casting, like a J head, on up. The only thing I really like about them is the fact that they got closed chamber. They're closed chambers, fast burning combustion chamber. Um, let's see. What about a tobacco sponsor? No, I don't want a sponsor. I hate I hate when I'm watching a video. Okay, I'll throw in a video. So I'm working on an idea for other channels right now because I want to start other channels. So it was one of the reasons we moved into this facility because I want to get other channels going. So I've been watching uh, some of the larger channels um, videos and trying to get a feel for things and like what may work or may not work. Not that I want to change this channel. This channel stay exactly the way it is, but we want to start others. So I've been watching other larger channels. And I've gotten to the point now that and I'm not going to mention who they are, right? But they're all doing these commercials for Keeps, this hair thing or this manscaping thing, and like all of these different. And you know what? It's gotten to the point now. As soon as I click done, okay, I'm done watching this video. You know, or like I'll fast forward real fast through it. You know what I mean? But it's like it's irritating. It's annoying. I don't want that. You know what I mean? So no, I don't want a sponsor because a sponsor would bring. I would have to be like interrupting my video to stick this 2 minute spot in there talking about whatever it happens to be. This insurance company, that alarm system, this thing for your balls. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want, and I don't want to subject my audience to that. Let's see. Curtis Reynolds, commercials are okay. So as long as I can fast forward, if I have to watch, I'm gone. Uh, Denton Robot, hey UTG, what are your thoughts on the Canadian election tomorrow? Any favorites? Is Spider-Man in it? Because I would vote for Spider-Man. Paul Cabazola, what's happening, brother? French onion, yeah, the Keeps ad is everywhere now. Yeah, I don't want to do it. We get offers all the time. Like Kathy filters through them. I don't look at emails. I don't want to know. I want to know about emails and messages. I don't look at anything, right? But Kathy filters through them. And forever, once you get over like the 100,000 sub mark, right? I think maybe it's like the million view a month threshold because we get about a million views a month, a million two, a million three. And I think once you get to that threshold, all of these companies come out of the woodwork and they want you to promote this and try that. Hey, we'll send you these lights, we'll send you this thing, we'll send you blah blah blah. It's constant. It's constant, and we don't even answer them, we don't return them, we don't look at them, we don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. If okay, here, do this, right? Figure it this way. If you ever see me doing a commercial, right, for anything like that, right, know that we have reached the bottom of the barrel and I'm having a hard time paying the bills. Okay? So I'll tell you that in advance, right? If you ever see me like, mouthing about one of these, products or showing and then there's this lighter you can get from blah 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 blah. And if you ever see me doing that, that means that I have reached the end of the line. I can't pay the bills. I can't keep the lights on. I can't keep food on the table. I can't keep gas in my cars. And so that's what I'm doing this because there's no level of greed in my spectrum that could make me want to do that if I didn't absolutely have to. Bigfoot body soap. Although I tell you what, there was some commercial that was funny, and it might have been Bigfoot body soap. I don't remember who it was, but there was one commercial. There was like a 2 minute long commercial that I thought was actually pretty funny, and it might have been that. Four tracks. Thank you, sir. Thank you and all your chatters for advice. I was discouraged because it seems like others were winning than I was. I let my 76 Celica sit and sulk them. Bro, seriously, right? Seriously, don't push yourself, right? When the time is right, when your head is right, when the money is right, when everything's right, then you go back to your project. And then anytime, just let it sit and learn, study, right? Honestly, right? Time spent studying the subject matter is really just as important as time spent actually turning wrenches on the car. So if you've got to a point, if you reached like a dead end where like you're burned out and you can't move forward on a project, then just learn about it. Learn all of the details about the motor. Learn the history of the bits and the pieces and the transmission and the suspension, and see what other people are doing with them, and so on and so forth. And do that for a while, and suddenly your motivation will fire back up again, and you'll go right back out to the shop and you go crank on it. But seriously, man, don't ever hesitate to put a project on the side. Unless you're doing it professionally, where let's say you're racing and you have to make the next round or you have to make the next race, right? Because well, that's what you do, right? And I've been there and I've done that now. We'll never do that again. I'm done with that. I did that. Unless that's what you're doing, you know what I mean? And you putting on food on the table requires it. Never be afraid to just put your project on the side and get your head together. Photo ordnance. How do you tee? A buddy from Wisconsin is sending me a 354 poly. I think I'm going to play with it. No one is doing good poly content. Any chance you're going to do more on this family engines? Probably not, because it really is a very, very limited thing. It would have to be something really trick. It would have to be something really trick. Paul covers all. How did you do the track with plans? It rained here all weekend. It's still pouring out there right now. We go next weekend. Jonathan Briggs, yeah, that happens to me too. That happens to me too, brother. You're not alone. I pull my project in and my daily breaks immediately. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. All right, time to get to work on the project. And then, yeah, next thing you know, you get the phone call from Kathy or whatever. Car's stuck in the parking lot. Okay, there goes that. Jamie Hart, my project should be a driver as well as project, but can't keep it running. Yeah, you need to have. That's why you gotta have multiple cars. I mean, seriously, it sounds like it's more expensive and more complicated to have more than one car, but it actually simplifies things. He's like, that's my driver, that's my race car, that's my restoration project, that's my dream project. You need to have a bunch of different cars to really. Well, pardon, thank you, sir. I'll go Tony in a bubble bath for Calgon Bear Soap commercial. Calgon, take me away. You said that was just the head free and bubble free. Thank you, man. Uh, Mr. Will, that always happens. Been working on the wife's car all summer. Let's see. Carl Spackler, what is your opinion on single versus dual profile cams? Is there any advantage to single if the exhaust is efficient? I can't answer that. See that I can't answer that question straight away, because there are so many different aspects to that question. There are so many different aspects to the types of engines. That's something you want to ask a cam grinder, and you have to be very specific about which kind of engine and what the application would be. Jay Russell Fish, 2 weeks. Tony, 2 weeks ago, you spoke about Tony D'Agostino. Why? What's wrong? He'll talk about it if and when he ever wants to. YouTube, very low volume. Oh. Throttle watch. Cletus had a stalker knock on his Toyota door at 3 o'clock in a truck stop. People need to get a life and cut that crap out. Listen, I mean, I don't understand it myself. I don't know how this works, right? But yeah, people are crazy. Tom Muse is answering your question. Carl, you need to know port flow ratios. If the exhaust flow is above 75% of the intake, you don't need a dual pattern. Okay, that's Tom answered it much better than I could, which is why we keep Tom around. He's such a smart guy. Joe K. I'm running a 90s LT1 Camaro 6-speed manual at the track soon. Intake exhaust, 410 gears, summer tire. Any tips? It's a clean street car. Rarely sees a track. Just a couple of easy runs. Get a feel for it. See what the car wants, and just give the car what it wants. Drive it how it wants to be driven. Don't expect the first run you put on a car. Don't expect it to set the world on fire. You'll have it in your mind, oh, this car is going to run 1290s because it's got this, that, and the other thing. And your first pass on the car, it goes 1650. And you're like, my God, what happened? And the only thing that happened is that you don't really know how to drive the car yet. You don't have to launch the car yet. You don't know where it wants to be shifted yet. You have maybe a tuning issue, carburetor jetting, whatever it happens to be. Go to the track if go to the track with no expectations. Just go to the track and just try to make clean runs. And then little by little, you'll etch it away and you'll get exactly what you want. French Onion, imagine how bad Cletus fans are. I know. Jamie Hart, I watched your video on rebuilding Edelbrock today. Question: one of the idle jets has a bad gasket. You're talking about the booster body. Could that be causing? Yes, it could absolutely be causing your problem. Yes. Slayer of Soul, Tony, is there any lifter brands you trust right now? I don't trust anything or anybody right now. Not just because of what I've experienced personally, but what I've seen and what I've read and what I've heard, everybody else getting involved in. No, I on record right now, there is nobody I trust. And when it comes to parts right now, there is no name that I trust. There is no part that I trust. There is nothing that I trust because it's across the board. You talk to anybody in any field of mechanical, whether they do heating and air conditioning, or they build stock cars, or they everything is suspect right now. So no, I don't trust anything or anybody. Fastang 85. I just watched some Whistle and Diesel videos. His money, but bullshit, ruining all those older rigs. Oh, the only older rig that I saw. Okay, so you're talking about that F-250, right? Did you see that afterwards? Like because all right, yeah, he crushed the F-250, right? And we looked at it, and it was like, oh my God, I cringed too. I was like, oh God, right? But if you looked at what actually was, that was a flipper special. That thing was a turd. The floors were rusted on it. Everything was rusted out on it. It was one of those things that, like a flipper type of car that we featured in the past, that has a pretty paint job and it has all aftermarket interior stuff stuck in there, but it was a polished turd. The thing underneath was a wreck. So I do agree with you to an extent, but yeah, the 70 square by show. I didn't see that one. Showing the person, what is the purpose of lubing the O-ring on an oil filter of a car or motorcycle? You do that so that as you're tightening it down, it doesn't bunch up, right? Because you're tightening it, okay? The first part of the rubber that grabs the surface is going to want to pull, right? So, and that'll cause it to bunch up. So you'll have a thin spot on the rubber O-ring, the rubber gasket there. But if you lube it, it doesn't bunch up. It tightens down evenly. And that's why you lube an oil filter O-ring. you never thought of that, did you? Right? Right? See, that's why you make the big bucks. Stephen King, excessive bump steer with a rack and pinion with 10-inch wide front tires. O1 RT Dakota. Is there a simple solution to dampen this by using stabilizers, or is it something else I should look into? Stephen, I wish I could answer that. I am so not a front suspension like guy. You know, like the only thing I know about front suspensions is you want them to unload when you hit the gas, right? That's the only thing I know about front suspensions. Other than that, it's just regular, just standard alignment stuff from me. So maybe somebody in there can answer that question better for you. Cecil Gilbert just sent 5 scuttles. Thank you, Cecil. I appreciate that. Um, let's see. Mean Muscle Tony, how do you feel about starting to use newer engines like Gen 3 Hemis, and since parts are in every junkyard? Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem. It's just things like LSs and whatnot. I actually like those engines. I like to see what people do with them. Um, the Gen 3 Hemi, I'm not the biggest Gen 3 Hemi fan in the world because I do believe that the LS is a better overall platform. But I mean, I'm cool with all of that stuff. Even the J2s. There's a lot of really interesting, good engines out there today. Just because it's not something that I'm working on doesn't mean it's not something I enjoy or I like, or you know what I'm saying. So yeah, no, I'm cool with all of that. Mike Batista, I'm a big block Chevy guy, but I like the LS turbo jump. Yeah, exactly. David Leonard says bump steer on a rack and pinion is caused by excessive tie rod angles. Makes sense. Uh, Auto 1303, Tony, do you run magnets on oil filters or pans to collect metal debris from flowing oil? I don't. I don't. And honestly, the metal that you're worried about isn't gonna stick to it. What's on the to be? Do you think the CAM's oil pump gear in Plan Z will affect these upcoming runs? Well, I can tell you this. I dropped the pan once I realized we weren't going to run it this weekend because of the rain. I dropped the pan because I'm still questioning the baffling of it, right? Um, and I wanted to take another look at the oil pump gear. So the oil pump gear has a definite, the drive gear on the oil pump, not on the cam, but the drive gear on the oil pump has a definite mark in it. You know what I mean? Like where you could see that the teeth are eating into it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I don't want to go with an external system because I want to keep it as simple as possible. Uh, I don't know. I think I'm just going to run it until it breaks. You know what I mean? It's going to cost me a couple of bearings, and that's the end of that. But I'm not worried about it too much. If it was something that I was driving on the street, I would be seriously concerned because judging by what the marks that I'm seeing, the relationship between the cam gear and the oil pump, I would say within, let's say, 500 or 1,000 miles, it's done. So, but I'm not going to see it on that car. The car's only going to see, runs at the track. So I'm not overly concerned about it. But if it was a street car, I would be super concerned about it because it is an absolute imminent failure point. Thank you for the update. You're quite welcome. Thank you for asking. Joe K, Tony, who is allowed to sit on that couch with you? Only Uncle Kathy, right? I'm not. No, any female can sit on the couch. That's fine. You know what I mean? I'll share. I'll share my space with any female. I don't like to share my space with males. You know what I mean? It's just the way I am. It's just like my dogs. We were just talking about this with Austin this morning, right? I only have female dogs. That doesn't mean that I don't like male dogs. I like male dogs. If you have a male dog, I'll pet him. I'll tell him he's a good boy. I'll give him a treat, right? I love all dogs. But if I have to live with it, no, it has to be a female. I refuse to live with a male anything. Uh-oh. What's the thoughts and prayers here? Oh, Don, how is your mom? Me go home tomorrow, fingers crossed. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay. Um, J. Russell Finch, Melbourne lockdown extended for another month. There's no help for you guys. You got to help yourselves. You know, there's civil disobedience, my brother. You know what I mean? Get it together, or Rebel Angel Killer 62 sounds like you're afraid you might like men. Oh, no, I skeeve men. I literally, it's like I don't, it's bad. I don't like to sit in a car. You know, people are like, oh, I'd love to take a road trip with you. No, you don't want to take a road trip with me because I don't want to smell you. I don't want to smell a male. I don't want to breathe in the air that a male breathes out. Trust me, it's not that I like them. It's the exact opposite. Robert Becker, live on your knees or die on your feet. And yeah, DeSoto isn't male anymore. He's a pussycat. J. Russell Fish, there was a rebellion on Saturday, but the press ignore or twist the perception. You can't listen. You can't rebel. The rebellion is do it outright civil disobedience. If everybody ignores it, then there's nothing they can do. They cannot arrest everybody, and you can't let several arrests, for whatever reason, deter you from going. You have to go out there saying, you know what, go ahead, bust me. You know what I mean? If everybody goes out with that attitude, go ahead, bust me, right? Come on, bring it, bitch, right? If everybody goes out there with that attitude, then you will prevail, right? But without that, you go nowhere. Worst things first. Hey, Tony, is it advisable to correct the A-body rear track width? Only for appearance's sake. Doug Norden is going out with his boots on. Uh-oh, this thing. Oh, here we go. Rebellion, Tom Hughes, rebellion doesn't just close down at nighttime. Once it's started, it never ends. We know. Cecil Goodwood, thank you, sir. Wanted to ask, Dutra says use rubbing compound to break in new oil pump cam set to read and adjust, like setting up a chunk. Well, I'll tell you what, I looked at spacing because somebody else had done a video on spacing. And I went and I looked at that, right? Because when I first realized I had this problem, like, well, let me see what's going on. So I searched on YouTube and I found a couple of people that had a similar situation and they were talking about spacing. So I said, let me check this out myself. And so what I did was I have another setup here, and I did that. Okay, I took a pump, inserted it, and then started to look at the relationship between the gear and the pump. Uh, like if I move it out or if I move it in, and it really doesn't change. It like the factory setup, the way it's set up from the factory, the dimensions from the factory really are pretty damn accurate. You know, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to worry about it too much. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly. Tony, you don't like when a drunk guy breathes in your face? That's why I don't drink and go to bars. No, I don't like when any guy breathes in my face. It's like, I know, like, I know that if I'm driving in a car with some guy, right, he's gonna make objectionable odors. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to deal with that, right? I can't explain it to you. I'm just, I don't like any male things in my personal space, and I consider like a car to be my personal space. Michael Phillip, how's the Miata doing? It's doing good. It's doing good. Garrett is going to take it to, there's an autocross in Clarksville. He was going to go last week, the week that we were in Missouri, but that wasn't convenient. He's going to take it to the next one. And I think that's coming up like October 6th or 10th or something like that. Colleen Tabo, what about Buff? You sit next to him all the time. We sit in separate chairs. We sit in separate chairs. So he sits like over here, right? And it's something like Dallas. I sit, so he's sitting in a separate chair. You know what I mean? And that's okay, right? But no, to sit on a couch, no, never, never. Uh, Rebel Angel Killer 62. What if the man identifies as a woman? Gender being fluid and all. Well, in that case, I would have to look at it, the DNA level evidence of what's going on. I would have to ask he, she, or it, or whatever they want to be called. What shape is your hip bone, right? Your hip joint. So if you got a straight hip joint, no, I don't want you to sit next to me. If you've got one at 45 degrees, you can sit next to me. How's that sound? Buff Campo says he won't drink coffee if I touch the cup. That's the truth. Buff, I love you, Buff. You know I love you, right? But yeah, that's the truth. He wants to bring me coffee, right? And I'm like, no, don't touch my coffee. I don't know. Kathy will touch my coffee. I don't want you to touch my coffee. Two poor guys garage. How do you feel about antique furniture? Boy, that's a really great question. Um, I don't necessarily have any opinions on antique furniture. I like anything that has craftsmanship, whether it's a furniture, or a house, or a car, or some wrought iron railing, whatever it is. Some things will catch my attention, and I can appreciate it on a case by case basis. So I guess furniture would kind of fall into that category, but I'm not really particularly aficionado, John Wilbur, attorney, do you have one of those removable consoles on your bench seat so dudes can ride in your car? Well, you rode my car. We were in Pennsylvania and we went to the railroad out there, right? And yeah, I mean, listen, when it has to be done, I do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, this is it. You just got to roll with it. You know what I mean? When it has to be done. But if it doesn't have to be done, then I don't want to deal with it. But everything is case by case. That's true, Chung. We had bucket seats and we had a console between us. I would have preferred if we were in separate cars. And you know I like you. You know what I mean? Sean Fagan, Tony, you need to get Johnny Lydon on the channel. I would love to have him on the channel. He's like one of my favorite humans. He's just freaking awesome. Um, he's freaking out over the two pistols are getting paid and he is broke. Hey, listen, reach out to him, right? Send him my way. Yeah, absolutely. I'd do anything for him. He's awesome. Uh, Tommy is, I think I'm the only guy Tony has offered the hug. No, okay, I'm okay with the bro hug, right? Because I mean, I've been just doing it for so long. I'm okay with the bro hug, but it can't linger. You know what I'm saying? It can't fucking linger. They get weird like that. Chunko Willie, you're overflowing with testosterone. I may have a bit much of it. I may have a bit much of it. I see the beard. I had that when I was like 9. Douglas Feiler, what is your opinion on small displacement engines with multiple cylinders like V12? See, there's another thing. I love those things, right? Um, and not one in particular. I love small displacement, ultra high RPM engines. I would never have one. I don't want to deal with one. I don't want to build one. I don't want to deal with its quirks and idiosyncrasies. But if you've got one and the thing will scream to 11 grand and all that shit, I am all over it. I love that stuff. I just don't want to deal with it, for myself. Doug Gordon, I believe in a quality, firm handshake. Yep. This dead fish thing some guys do is bullshit. I know, I know, I know. Old Jetfire, planning a trip to haul a Jetfire out to California. Estimated $2,000 in gas round trip, over $5 a gallon in Needles, California. This sucks. Oh shit, that's a lot of money. I mean, do you really need to go cross country? Mike Batista, yeah, a small block that revs to 10 grand is nice till it grenades. Exactly. See, I love that. You get these people that build these like 10,000 RPM, like the small block Fords, especially. They just sound so good at that screaming, stupid high RPM. I love that. I'll stand on the starting line, man, and just like, go, drop that clutch, right? But I have no desire to own it myself. You know what I mean? Like, no desire to own it. I like my valve springs to last more than 3 freaking runs. My van gets all kinds of attention. Tom Hughes. My van gets all kinds of attention. The bumper stickers are heavily armed and easily pissed. And the next one tonight is my son locked up your honor student. Fubar just posted a link to our merch. All of our merch is made in house now. Our shirts, we discontinued the hats. I think we're out of hats now. We've discontinued that. But we have all of the shirts, and now there's long sleeve shirts too. And Uncle Kathy makes all of it right there on the other side of that wall right there. And so yeah, the Fubar put the link there for our merch. Thank you, sir. Wayne Buzzle, Steve Jones, the guitarist for the Pistols, is a gearhead. Yeah, but he's not Johnny Lydon, man. That guy is just awesome. I mean, he is just awesome. So I nearly impulse bought a bike today, right? I nearly impulse bought a bike. I was at the house, and I was at the house, and I was looking. I was just scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, and an 83, right? 883R popped up. Are you familiar with those bikes? It's like the old XR 750s. So I was like, I'm just scrolling, and boof, it popped out at me. I was like, oh my God, I need that, right? So right away, I sent them a message. Is this thing still available? I said, yeah. So it's like, now I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. It's like, I can go tomorrow and buy this thing, right? It's clean. It's nice. It looks like it's missing a front fender, but it has new pipes on it. New pipe, it's a 2-in-1 pipe. So yeah, I'm on the fence now. Do I need this freaking bike? Kevin Drain, any advice for someone? Sure, why not? If I can't answer it, one of our other people here will answer it for you, my brother. Hollyhock, my dad's dream bike is an XR 750, so sweet. I remember when the XRs came out, right? It was 2002, I think it was. An XR. Did I say XR? The 883R. They came out in like 2002, and I was just moving here, and I came down here. I had 7 freaking bikes, all of them Sportsters. I came down here with 7 Sportsters. When I was in New York, I had 28 motorcycles, and I had to get rid of a lot of them because of the move. I just didn't have the space for them here. So I sold off everything I had except for my Sportsters. I had 7 Sportsters. Most of them were Ironheads, and I love Ironhead Sportsters. So they came out. The 883R came out just about exactly the time that I was moving to Tennessee, and and I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, I need that. That's such a cool freaking bike. And I just had too many things on my plate. I was spinning too many plates, right? I just had too many things going on. So I passed on it. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna bother. I really don't want to buy a new bike. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh shit. Right? That whole it just came. It's such a cool, tight bike. So like I'm really on the fence now. Jamie Hart, what pushed the move from New York to Tennessee? You see what's going on right now in New York? I could see it coming. I escaped. Hollywood, my dad wants an XR 750 like the Evil Knievel days. Yeah, right. But I mean, you're talking about serious loot and hard to find bits for that. But yeah, I'm digging that. He likes the 80s ones. I also have Sportsters. You have a 74 XLCH. Nice. Well, I mean, I wouldn't use the bike as a daily. I mean, those days are over. I used to daily bikes, and I wouldn't use it as a daily. I have no interest in using it as a daily. Um, and yeah, I got hit. I stopped riding. I stopped riding like all the time in uh, 20 around it was around 2012 or 2013, and it was the third time I got hit by a car making a left turn. I was on a sporty actually, and I was just minding my own business, going on a road, and a car made a left turn, like literally like behind me or alongside me, made a left turn. I saw his fender coming this way. I leaned the bike way over like this, and he took the turn signal off the back of it. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I just can't deal with this anymore. So that's when I stopped riding. It was the third time. So, but again, like just for a nice Sunday afternoon ride, just to have, and I'm one of those midnight riders. I like to get on a bike like at 11 o'clock at night and just go for a ride. And at that time, right, that time of the night, you really don't, you don't run into those problems. Jamie Hart, are you enjoying the change from New York, meaning people, environment, climate, etc.? Jamie, I moved here. I moved here almost 20 years ago. It'll be 19 years this coming year, and I never looked back, not once. I was born and raised in New York City. I spent the first 40 years of my life there, and I never looked back, not once. I've been grateful to be here. I love Tennessee. I love Middle Tennessee. I love everything about this place. I wouldn't live anywhere else. I mean, like I said, I mean, the only way I can describe my relationship with Tennessee is that I am truly grateful to be here. Uh, Wyson Hamami, I thought you had a ZX6. I did have. I have. Listen, I had bikes. Oh, I had bikes and bikes and bikes and bikes and bikes. I went when I quit drag racing. I went to a motorcycle phase, and like I said, as I left New York, I had 28 of them in my freaking house. Maxwell actually, you had a 69 900 sports car vibrated so bad it made your fingers go numb. Then, then you've never ridden a Norton Commando, right? But seriously, the last sporty I had was a rubber mount. It was 2005, 2006. I don't even remember. And it was a rubber mount, and I liked it at first. I was like, "Oh wow, this is cool." You know what I mean? It's like you can ride a sporty, and it feels like a jet bike. This is awesome, right? Um, but I got kind of got tired of it. And this one of the things, this 83 that I looked at, that I found today, I realized, well, this is a solid mount motor. It'll feel like a Sportster. So yeah, I may get it. I may get it. Junko Willie, I read an article you did in 2007 where you said you had to get away and clear your head because of TR in 1998. I don't know what TR is, Junko Willie. Al Jones in Battle Rock, you had a rocker off failure. You ever considered 273 adjustable rockers? I did, but I wanted to go with a roller rocker. I figure as long as I'm going to make that change, I'm going to put a roller rocker on it. Hey, William Sanders, what's happening? Dakota, did you ever try to buy that one bike? Yeah, that BSA from the Hot Rod Hoarder? No, no. Because I don't really want a specialty kind of bike. I don't want anything I'm going to have to work on or tinker with or anything like that. I just want one just to keep around. You know what I'm saying? And those Beezers are awesome. I had a couple of them. I had two 69 865s. I love those bikes. I love brick bikes. I had a Norton Commando, which was like insane, like riding a paint shaker down the street. But a bike like those, I don't want that commitment to a motorcycle. I have cars that I have that commitment to. So I just want to hit the button, you know, kick it down and go. That's the only type of bike I'm interested in right now. Oscar Walton, do you have any experience with the Triumph Rocket 3? Not directly, no. I mean, I've ridden them. I've ridden them, and I don't like them. And it's not. It's honestly, I'm being perfectly honest with you. They run good. They're nice, flexible bikes. But the reason I could never get into them is the sound. It has a miss in my mind. It has a miss. It sounds like it has a miss. So I just, yeah, the 3-cylinder 4-stroke. It's funny too because the 3-cylinder 2-stroke, right, which is the most silky smooth. A 3-cylinder, a 2-stroke triple is like riding a rubber band. It's the only way I can describe it to you. You're that smooth. It's just that awesome, right? Because you have one power pulse every 320 degrees, and they're just like silk. But the 3-cylinder 4-stroke, as sweet as a 3-cylinder 2-stroke is as sour as a 3-cylinder 4-stroke is, and I could never deal with them. Jamie Hart, you love the lives, but just wanted to say thank you for the educational videos you put up. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. Harley Hawk, I've never ran the European bikes ever. Did they all ride nice? I love those Kawasaki triples, cool pipes. No, no, okay. The vertical twins, the upright twins. That I'm familiar with the Brit bikes. Oh no, they're not. I'll tell you what. If you're coasting on a very smooth road, yeah, man, they feel majestic. That's the thing about those Brit bikes. Like your 60s Triumphs, early 70s Triumphs, and the Beezers, Nortons, all those bikes, right? They feel very majestic. I love the feel of them, right? They're not solid like Harley Davidson. They put extra metal in everything, so everything has that like feel. Okay, and Brit bikes don't. Brit bikes have they have the thinner bars like Jap bikes do. They make them a slightly thinner gauge steel, so they don't really, they feel majestic. They cruise down the road majestic, but they vibrate like freaking crazy. They're very, very finicky. Brit bike is not something you have to be a Brit bike aficionado to really get anything out of owning a Brit bike. Mike Batista, you rode an old Triumph with a nightmare. Everything is backwards. Well, the Sportsters were the same way up until 1970. When did they switch everything over? 1977. Sportsters were the same way. Kerry Worthington, I have a KH250 with expansions, noisy son of a gun. Those are fun, man. Those little, okay, the 250, the 350, and the 400, the KHs, those things are a blast. Those are the most underrated motorcycles ever, right? Everybody thinks about the big triples, and I had the big triples, okay? But those small triples are just so much fun. Those and the R5s and the RD350, like the Yamahas, just the smaller 2-stroke bikes or the middle-sized 2-stroke bikes were awesome, awesome. The Baby Dirt, the Sportster switched in 74. The Sportsters, okay, 70, 74, 75, they have the shift linkage that went under the bike. So the way it was designed, yes, the pedals were the same as the Japanese bikes, right? Or what's become the standard today, but it had to go through a mousetrap kind of linkage. It wasn't until 77 that they actually moved the shifter to the correct side of the motorcycle, and it wasn't just a bunch of linkage that went underneath. Anyway, crotch rockets will put an anti-chain. I did the crotch rocket thing too. Suzuki GT380. Yep. Yeah, I forgot about those. Okay, the smaller ones like the 380 were good. There what was the other one? There was another small one that they made, but the water buffalo was the biggest disappointment I ever had in a motorcycle. I wanted a water buffalo forever, right? I was like, oh, I gotta have a fucking water buffalo. And there was a time I had an H1, a '69 H1, and I was like, oh, I need a water buffalo, right? So I hunted far and wide to find a usable water buffalo, and finally I bought this thing, and I bought it. Where did I buy it? I bought it in upstate New York, and I had to ride it back to New York City, and I was so disappointed. By the time I got back to New York, I wanted to get rid of the bike. I wasn't into it. It was a total letdown. Rebel Angel Killer, you had a Suzuki 1982 GS750. Ooh, those are awesome bikes. That is a big. That's like the big. Okay, I know Honda made the CV900 and all, but those the GS750s, the GS850s. Oh, what majestic bikes! I love the wheels on those. They had that cast snowflake sort of wheel on the Suzuki's. Beautiful, beautiful bikes. Main muscle. Any experience with old panheads? No, none. I never. I see. I never. I would never had any attraction to the big twins. Um, they just never did anything for me. The only Harley Davidsons I ever had any real interest in were Sportsters. Travis Davis. Hey Tony, it was nice meeting you today. Yeah, hey Travis. Yeah, Travis came today and he dropped off an intake manifold for the guys. Yes, nice meeting you too, man. Throttle Davidson, did you swap rotation of your pistons and your irons? No, I didn't. What about the V rods? Now, my friend Ralph the cop had a V rod. I rode it a time or two. Didn't really do anything for me. Danny Boyd, V twins sound best with mufflers. V twins sound best with 2-into-1, which is one of the reasons why I like the 8883R because it has that 2-into-1 exhaust. They sound awesome. If I'm not mistaken, 2-into-1 is best for power too. Yeah, because you're using the pulse from one cylinder to help evacuate the next. Yeah, absolutely. Colleen Tabo, Robert Kerr asked a question. No oil to cylinder 6 valves on a 440. No oil to cylinder 6 valves on a 440. And he says, no, I have no idea. Danny Boyd, I rode a Yamaha Maximum 550 with a header, and that was a good sounding bike. You know what I don't like about those Yamahas? That era of Yamaha, and especially like the 550s, they geared them really terribly. Um, the Yamaha engineers just decided that every engine's sweet spot needs to be 6,500 RPM. So the way those bikes are geared, they're always screaming. I know they're built for it. That's where it's supposed to be. But any of those Yamahas from that era, I just they're just too revvy. They're too buzzy. 507 Jaybird. I had a 500 Kawasaki triple back in the day. Fast mofo, but watch out for the high speed wobble. Scared the crap out of me a time or two. I've talked about this before, man. Everybody talks about the H2, right? The 750. Everybody talks about the H2. The H2 is a bad boy. The H2 is a big one. No, man. The 69, 70, and 71, especially the 69 and 70 H1, the 500, was the badass triple. They detuned them. I guess it was in 72. I don't remember the years now. It's been a while since I messed around with those bikes. But they detuned them in 72, I believe it was. And so that's why they went to the 750 size. And the 750 really doesn't have that same punch that the 6970 H1 does. The 6970 H1, the 500, is the Kawasaki triple. If you want the ultimate Kawasaki triple experience, that's the bike you want. They only came in one color too. They were white, peacock white. Wayne, I had an 80s CB750 custom, very forgiving, very nice bike. I dailied one of those for about a year, an 82 or 83 CB750 custom. Yeah, that was a great bike. It was the only bike I ever owned that I put a windshield on because I was dailying it and it was like a winter thing. And it was the only bike I ever owned that I actually put a windshield on. And yeah, and that thing was great. That bike was great. No Nemo wasn't the H1 the Widowmaker. That's the bike that earned the name Widowmaker. Yeah. But not the later H1s. 72, 73, 74, 75 H1s, they don't have that same punch. The pour timing is different, the compression is lower. But it's the 69 and 70s. Bad bikes. Bad bikes. J-Rin, I backed out my throttle screw on my 4150 all the way, but the transfer slots are still too exposed. Well, if you backed out the throttle, I mean, you've got something going on there because if you backed out the throttle screw all the way, I don't see how the transfer slots can be too exposed. If you backed out the throttle screw all the way, you're gonna see like so in other words there's nothing, right? So you take as if you took the throttle stop screw all the way out, you would see just the absolute bottom of the transfer slot. You would see just the absolute bottom of it. So I don't know what you mean by too much. Mike Batista, grab a Honda CB750 and build a cafe racer. I really don't want to build any more cars, any bikes. I just want one, just to have around. I really don't want. I have car projects that would keep me busy till way after I'm dead. So I really don't want to build anything bike wise. I just want to have some. I just want one to have a little fun with. And that 883R just talks to me. It just talks to me. So I think that's the one I'm gonna grab. Colby Newman, hey, any reason you don't do any newer Hemi swaps in cars? Personal taste. I have nothing against the newer Hemi. I like the LS better, um, but my personal taste and the stuff that I have is all based around the earlier motors. And so it's not that I'm singling out not doing late Hemi stuff. I just you know Davis Travis. I learned on a '74 Honda CB400, CB400 twin or CB400 four cylinder. Because those are beautiful. You know what I'm talking about? The CB404, that exhaust, the most beautiful exhaust system that's ever been put on any machine in the history of man is on those 400 Hondas. The way those four pipes just snake out of there and then come down. It's just so sexy. They're beautiful. William Wisam Hamamani, have you ever messed with two strokes tone? Yes, Kawasaki triples and two-cylinder Yamahas. Oh, and dirt bikes. I had a Kawasaki dirt bikes. Derek McMillan, hey Tony, the '89 Dakota rear ends, and he goes, they're 8 1/4s. Yeah, they're okay. Find a KZ1000. First bike I ever rode was a KZ1000. J. Russell Fitch, Alan Milliard is one crazy channel. What does Alan Milliard do? What's his gig? The Baby Dirt, the CBX 1000 had a similar exhaust, but 6 instead of 4 right under the front. It's not the same, man. It's not the same. I know the exhaust you're talking about, but it's not the same. Milliard is excellent. What does he do? Mike Batista turbo on a bike. That's insane. I rode the Kawasaki turbo. I don't remember. Hey, Mid Sexy, what's happening from California? I don't remember the details on the bike. One of the artists at CSK had one of those turbo Kawasaki's. This is in 1986, I think it was. And I took her for a ride, and I was very unimpressed by it. I don't know if it was just that bike, and I don't remember any of the details of it because this is just like one ride that I took on one random bike. It was the factory Kawasaki 750. There was a 750 with a turbocharged on it, and it did nothing for me. It had no. And I rode it on the Jersey Turnpike. I took it a couple of exits up on the Jersey Turnpike, and it didn't do anything for me. Milliard built 6 on a KH engines. Oh, I know the guy you're talking about. I know the guy you're talking about. I've seen that. That's okay. Not in a long time, but I've seen that. Nicholas B. The Honda CX650 was a turbo. This was it was a Kawasaki. It was a Kawasaki, not a Honda. And I do like the Honda CX Hondas. I think they're neat. Maybe do you ever see the 48s on the Kawasaki? Yes, I've seen that. Yeah, Suzuki made a rotary. If I'm not mistaken, they put that rotary in the same frame as the Water Buffalo. I could be wrong about that, but because we're talking about obscurities from eons ago. But I'm pretty sure the rotary they put that in the same frame as the Water Buffalo. That was it. The Kawasaki GPZ 750. That was it. That was it. 67, 672E Galaxy. That's correct. What am I correct about? Mid Sexy. What's the biggest engine you've ever built? Hemis. 426 Hemis. I want to know what I'm correct about. I like when I'm correct about something. Rotary in the Water Buffalo. Yeah. Leonardo Miguel. Tony, what can I do to my A body if I don't have more chamber to play? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Colby Newman, have you ever worked in a dealership or just on your own? I worked for a Chrysler dealer for 2 weeks, which is like about that's that when I was younger and I would attempt to get jobs because I can't work for anybody. I worked at a Chrysler dealership for 2 weeks as a mechanic, and that was it. That's why no, got to do this on my own. Moisix 79. What's the mile per gallon you get on the daily driver with the 318 and SP2P intake? I honestly don't know. I finished the car. I got it running. I threw the keys to Kathy, and I think I've driven it like maybe half a dozen times. And usually just to run to the store to grab something because it's just sitting there, right? Um, I've never, that was it. Like I finished the car, I got it running, I painted it, I did everything I had to do. And I said, here, Kat, here's your car, bye. And it was it. So it just sits in the driveway. She drives it wherever she's got to go. And I honestly don't know what kind of mileage it gets. Tom Hughes. So, Tony, you ever meet Sonny Leonard? No, never had the honor. William Sanders. Tony, if you had to work for a car dealership, what brand would it be? No brand. I would not work for a car dealership. I would go rob liquor stores and gas stations before I got a job working in a dealership. Or any job for that matter. I can't work a job. Jimmy Waldhelm. Water Buffalo was a 750 triple Suzuki two strokes. Yeah, I know. The Water Buffalo was. See, when I bought. Okay, so I had been into Kawasaki triples, so I figured, well, the Suzuki's got to be like I want, and I had a GT 380 for a while. This is the smaller Suzuki triple, and it ran really good. It ran really good. So I was like, oh, okay, so let me try a Water Buffalo because that's like if I love the Kawasaki triple. Let's see how the Suzuki triple works. And no, it doesn't have the same thing at all. It's amazing how smooth it is. Okay, like a water, right? So imagine what an electric motorcycle would feel like. Okay, I know they've made them, but imagine how smooth and quiet an electric motorcycle would be. That's a Water Buffalo. They like there's absolutely zero vibration, zero sense that the engine is running at all. But on the Kawasaki triple, when you crank it, there's a little bit of lag for a second, and then just hang on because violence is like in abundance, right? When you do that to the Water Buffalo, you just get a moan. It's just like, no, this is not, there's no terror involved in a Water Buffalo. And at the time, the only thing I cared about was being scared. Give me a motorcycle, it's going to scare me. And that wasn't going to scare me. The Kawasaki 1000 is not insane. The first bike I ever rode was a KZ1000. I've had a couple of them. To be perfectly honest with you, the KZ 750 was as fast, if not faster, than the 754. Because I made a 750 twin. It was like a cruiser type of bike. But the KZ 754. Okay, so maybe somebody who has facts to back up what I'm saying here, because I'm only going off of speculation, and like I've ridden both, right? And I will tell you, the KZ 750 is faster, is a better bike, acceleration wise, than the KZ 1000. Scott Murphy, I was traveling through your area and stumbled upon your shop today. Didn't want to bother you though. Thank you, Scott. I wasn't here anyway though. Oh, Austin, what's happening, man? It's Junkyard Jet Austin. Garrett drove the Charger from Louisville to the shop 2 hours away with no wipers and somehow survived. Yeah, we've all done that. Big Red and Chilled. We got to give it a try. KZ750. The KZ750 was an awesome bike. I actually shattered my tibia on a KZ. I shattered it on a KZ750. Awesome, McCoy. He fixed it exactly like you told me, and it worked perfectly. Thanks again. See, that's why I make the big bucks, Austin. Eric Johnson, I had a KZ650 and it was spoke my brother's KZ1000. Yes, yes, I forgot about the KZ650. Oh, I had one of those. It was like it was blue. It was like the B5 blue. Oh, what a gorgeous, beautiful, perfect bike that was, the KZ650. But it was the 750. Okay, the KZ650 was a great all-around bike, and it was it was stronger than all the other, like the 750s. Okay, so the GS850 and the KZ750 were the two bikes that stand out in my mind. The two of the UJMs that stand out in my mind as being like, okay, this is what you want to work with. The KZ750 was more of a highway bike, right? It was more of a highway bike. It maybe it was gearing, I don't know. I can't really put my finger. I can't tell you exactly what it was, right? But the KZ750 was more your like 50 to 100-mile-an-hour bike, right? That's, if that's your range, if that's where you ride and that's where you enjoy yourself, right? Then yeah, the KZ750 the KZ1000 was the thing. But the KZ750 was brutal from the dig. Okay, you power shift the KZ750 second gear and it will lift the front. See, the KZ1000 won't do that. You can run the hell out of a KZ1000, right? Power shift it and everything, and the bike stays relatively, it'll keep the front end on the ground. You power shift second gear on a KZ750, it lifts that front wheel and it holds the front wheel until it's time to shift third. Those bikes were brutal. They were fast. Danny Boy, did they race bikes on Fountain Avenue? Yes, many of them. Delta Tech, I've got a 90 D100 short bed, 8.25 rear, running a slant 6904. A Magnum 360, no trans, and a 447/27. Which would you choose to put in it? Probably the three. I would go with the Magnum. Go with the 360 Magnum. Uh, David Cole. Fubar with the link to our merch again, right? And once again, it's all made in house by the hands of Uncle Kathy, packaged and shipped by the hands of Uncle Crystal. So yeah, just our merch. Go merch, and we got some new stuff coming too. We have a couple of new shirt ideas that we'll be releasing over the next couple of days. Made Sexy. You had to return a set of lifters for the second time for my Chevy 396. Both times they wiped out a brand new cams. Talk about flying wrenches. Yeah, bro, it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic. We're all going through this stuff. We're all going through this stuff. Billy Bob Holcomb. Strawberries with sliced bananas in my M&Ms. I've already poured the chocolate milk. Strawberries, man. Uh, Zero. The Wave the Gearhead Monk. That was your idea, brother, man. That's right, Austin. We'll get together. We'll get together and do an update. Uh, Tony, ever seen the 1930s cars equipped with V-twins? Germans, I believe. They did that all. Oh God, there's somebody who still makes one of those. There's somebody who still makes one of those. It's a small three-wheeler, and it has a V-twin mounted at the very front of it. Ryan Beck, can you get a shout out? Ryan Beck, here is your shout out. Shout out to Ryan Beck. Gary Duchet, KZ554. Came on the pipe around 5,500 to 6,000. Carried the front wheel through second and third. You know, I've never ridden one of those. I've never ridden a KZ550. You're quite welcome, Ryan. Delta Tech, have you ever seen the mid-70s Mexican Super Bees? Yeah, they were A-bodies. Pretty cool cars. The South American market got some neat stuff, you know, that we didn't get up here. It's Peg, what's happening? Zip ties and bias place. And he has to poop. This is important information. Thank you for sharing with all of us, brother. How you doing, man? If you guys don't know, that is the legendary Peg from Zip Ties and Bias Place. Oh, we're over 2 hours now. I'm gonna have to pull the plug real soon, my friends. I'm like, I'm kind of shocked. Well, a lot of talk about bikes tonight. Yeah, minty. All right, guys, listen. I'm gonna call it a night, right? Um, so everybody, okay. Well, first off, Wednesday night we have Dallas and we have Wednesday Night Live Tech Talk. So Wednesday night 7 o'clock Central, you'll be there. You know, I did a radio show today, Motormouth Garage. So if you guys want to check out Motormouth Garage, we did a show with them this afternoon. I am gonna contact Steve Magnanti tomorrow and schedule him for sometime later on this week. I always have a great time with him. So, and what else is there? I think that's it. So all of our awesome mods, thank you again, John, Harry, Zero, Fubar. Not in that order. I love you all. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And all of our regulars who pop in here every week. You know, I look forward to Sunday nights because this is like, you know, it's like I don't have I don't know, it's just hanging out with friends. You know, I see you guys week after week after week after week, and I feel that we've really become, you know, we got a thing going. So thank you, I appreciate that. You have no idea, but don't stalk me, right? You know, just don't stalk me. Everybody contributed with super chat. Thank you, we appreciate it. It keeps the wheels running. It keeps us going. We keep moving forward. And I think that's it, right? That's it. I'm pulling a plug. Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.